Hi, this is Sebastian, KB0TTL. So on your 878 radio, you've got more than one scan list. So you want to go ahead and scan the weather channels, and you also want to be able to scan local repeaters, but you want two separate lists. Or maybe you want to scan a few of the digital channels on one side, a few of the analog channels on the other. Let's go ahead and show you how mid-play you can switch between the two scan lists that you've programmed into your 878. Now let's get started. I'm just going to show you that in fact we do have two separate scan lists here for the 878. What I'm going to go ahead and do is go into each of these here that I've created. One of these has to do with the local NOAA weather channels. It's just on a constant scan loop here. The other is on some local repeaters that I went ahead and put in. We're going to go ahead and access our scan list here. So this first one has the 7 NOAA weather channels in it. And we're actually going to start scanning on that one first. Then we have a list of analog repeaters here that are in the area that we're going to scan on here as well. So we're actually going to switch midstream, that is, from the scanning in the weather channels over to scanning the local repeater channels. So what I'm actually going to go ahead and do here is show you some of these channels and how I have them entered. Now, I've actually gone into each channel. Not only do you have to create your scan list, but you also have to go into each channel and assign that channel to a particular scan list. So if you want the same repeater or frequency in more than one scan list, you'll actually need to copy and paste and re-enter that channel again in your channels list, but for a different scan list. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you here real quick. Just going into the channel list here. And this is one that I had just entered earlier for Lee Summit, Missouri area repeater here, 146700 at a negative offset and 107.2 CTCSS. Now notice here in scan list, instead of none, which it was before, I selected analog repeaters. So this is going to be part of the analog repeaters scan list. All of my NOAA weather channels I went ahead and assigned to scan list 1. So basically, in essence, I'm going to show you then on the radio how I'm going to go from scanning what's on scan list 1, which is the NOAA weather channels, to the analog repeaters list. I'm just going to jump right on over to the radio and we will get started. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to select our scan lists here, and we're going to go ahead and start the scanning process here on this radio. And just so you guys know, I have P1 long that is off to push P1 for a few seconds to get scan to start and stop. That's just the button that I chose to program in for the scan start and stop function. You could choose any of these buttons here up front you like. In optional settings and in key function settings in the CPS software when you do this. So right now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start scanning here on these local repeaters. I have all of these local repeaters put in my initial scan list, and I have NOAA weather channels put in my secondary scan list. And here's the cool thing. If you want to go ahead and start scanning, all you have to do is start the scanning on any of the channels that are in your scan list, and then to stop, you would stop scanning by pushing the button again. You could switch scan lists by starting to scan on channels that are in a different scan list. So I'm going to show you how that's done here. I'm going to start scanning here by pushing my scan button in for a couple of seconds, and it's going to start scanning here. Now I want to stop that, so I'm going to go ahead and put a stop to the scan. Now, I'm going to go to one of my other channels here that is in a separate list. It's just as easy as selecting the channel that is in a different list, starting the scanning process, and of course stopping the scan process. So basically, simply put, if you want to go ahead and switch scan lists on this particular radio, what you're going to do is you're going to push the scan button on any channel that is in the opposite scan list, and it will start scanning on that scan list. Today we showed you every step to setting up your scan list with your AnyTone ATD878 Plus and how to use the feature to scan channels. If you're still having questions or are curious about getting one for yourself, click the link in the description. Thanks again for watching. I'm Sebastian, KB0TTL with BridgeCom Systems, N73.